latest episode of Two Guys in a Comic Book.
A single comic book.
One single comic book. And we're here in the Jeppy Museum. I am your host, James Lewis, and
Andy Hirschberger, I'm here. The single comic book can be here today. It's out drinking, trying to get a date. Trying to be a married comic book.
today we are going to be talking about the comic book industry in motion pictures. What's going on in film. So anybody who has been watching the film industry lately has seen that there has been a plethora of comic-related movies that have been coming out. I think coming up later this month, the Avengers DVD comes out.
It's already out.
Is it already out?
Yeah,
Okay.
I watched it online the other day.
And it to date is approaching $1 billion in revenue. So today Andy and I are going to be discussing the industry a little bit. So what have you seen so far?
Well, I did see the Avengers movie.
What'd you think about it?
Didn't like it at all.
Really?
Terrible film.
You're joking.
Not at all.
Why?
The characters were written in a glib style. I think they sacrificed character development for quippy one-liners. The balance was off. There were a lot of jokes that were common in the Marvel Universe that I think could have been disposed of for a more general audience. For example, S.H.I.E.L.D. was so inept that one wondered how they got that flying battleship. They must have stolen it from the smarter villains and then not quite knew how to film it. There are moments that it's like, okay, I can understand you being clever, but do you really have to have a pilot who is so dumb he doesn't know which way to direct the ship to find east or west? And those pulled me out of the film. And also, it's very difficult to have suspension of disbelief or to lose yourself in fear that the character will be hurt when within the first 15 minutes the characters beat each other up so badly and suffer no real consequences that it's almost like, okay, the CGI character is getting smacked around again. I know he can survive this. I just saw Thor crush his legs and slam him into the earth. Now he's in a propeller. Oh, yeah, no, that's not going to be a problem for him. So I was very disappointed with the way that it failed in much the same way a lot of the superhero films tend to be, is they tend to be more clever than have a good through line. They tend to be more...
So basically you're feeling right now that it wasn't real enough. That
No.
they didn't bring the real elements in. If you're talking about injury to a character.
Well, I think that it went for simple laughs and didn't go for stability. And I do not need or want too much reality in my superhero
I
film.
agree.
I mean, I think that there was a great story to be told, but I think that the way it was handled was to my aesthetics, because I'm definitely in the minority and I have nothing but my own opinion to go by, and I do not dismiss anybody else's opinion. There were lots of things for different aesthetics to appreciate, but for me particularly, I felt that it just was a little too fanfic. It didn't really have a narrative build that went anywhere, and the last part of the film is the problem a lot of movies have, particularly like the Transformer films, these CGI effects heavy films, where the entire film ends in a 20 square foot blocks. They all stay in the same box as things destroy around them, but they don't really move away from that box. And of course, the steal from the Phantom Menace, where the trope of having, there's a main ship, but when you blow it up, everything else goes down. That was a little disappointing to me. There was no sense of danger, except for maybe some of the patrons who would occasionally get a scratch.
Well, I've got to tell you, that has to be one of the most unique descriptions of the movie I've ever heard. But I do agree with you that you are definitely in the minority.
Well, I would hope that you would. It would be a
Especially
fun
since
show if you're like, I agree with that 100%.
You know, when you got a film that's approaching, almost $1 billion in revenue.
Well, here's a question though: if a taco that made you vomit had sold $1 billion and made over $1 billion in grosses, and everybody else loved it, would you then go, well, I must be wrong and need another one?
I'd have to try it again, yeah.
You would?
Yes, I would.
Well, I would have
Especially
to
if I like the first one.
Well, what happened? Well, that's a weird thing, because if it made you vomit the first time, you're like, oh, I love this so much.
No, I just went to a bad store. That's all. I have to go
Okay.
someplace else and buy another one.
All right. Well, maybe using the taco analogy. If you read a book and you despised it and you found out all your friends liked it, This might be better.
I would want to know what they enjoyed about it.
Well, true.
And I disagree with you. I absolutely loved this movie.
I would hope you did.
I thought it was total action
Mm-hmm.
from beginning to end. Now I'm going to touch on some points that you brought up. The
Okay.
character development.
Yeah.
There didn't need to be any character development in that film. It was all done previously. It was done in the first two Iron Man movies. It was done in the Thor movie. It was done in the Captain America movie. You didn't need to have any type of character development done. This was for pure fun. You know who the Hulk was. You know who Bruce Banner was. You know what the Hulk is going to do when he turns green. Smash. That's all they wanted to see. Now,
Okay.
in regards to S.H.I.E.L.D., okay, I'm going to touch on that point too. So you got the inept pilot, you say.
Yeah.
All right?
The-
Well, what is S.H.I.E.L.D.? S.H.I.E.L.D. is an extension of a government entity. And I'm sorry, I've dealt with the government on many occasions, and that's exactly what you find.
Well, I
The
think-
ineptness of certain individuals, not all of them, and I'm not downing anybody who works for the federal, state, or local government, but there are some people that are kind of questionable who work for that entity. So, that could definitely see that, especially in a time where it's like, okay, well, things are falling apart, and, which way do we need to go, and you just, that lapse of common sense can definitely happen. But I totally enjoyed the movie, and I think Marvel/Disney was very smart in their production, how they marketed it, how they led up to that, and I really want to touch on that a little bit too.
Granted, there was a big backstory, and they did provide that in a series of movies. So basically, to go into the Avengers, what you're telling to the average American who is in a recession is, you know what you need to do? Spend $70 on different entertainment before you go and see this entertainment so you can fully enjoy these characters. And I find that a little bit disappointing. I don't think a film needs to, and I think it's very easy to shorthand in a backstory for this. Needs to have
Waste
that
of
kind of
footage.
backstory. What do you mean waste of footage?
Waste of footage for what purpose?
Because
you don't
for the
need it.
newbies.
Even if they didn't know Captain America's backstory, go look it up online. Okay, you've
Okay.
got the internet that's available for you.
So what if you don't like the characters initially?
Well,
So you're like, why would you want to do?
I
any
have plenty.
research?
I have
Like,
plenty
oh,
of friends. I have plenty of friends who aren't comic book fans
Uh-huh.
who love to go and see
and
this movie.
I've had plenty
And
of
even
friends
if
who
they
are that
even
hated
if
this movie.
even if they only knew one or two characters. Oh,
Okay.
we know the Hulk from the 70s. We want to see what he's going to do with Iron Man, who we did go and see, but we didn't go see Thor or Captain
Okay.
America. So they don't know how everything interlocks and how everything goes together. But they seem like they weren't really interested in all of that. They knew enough to come in and enjoy this movie. Now, that means that those individuals don't understand the little subtle nuances of things that were being explained. The cosmic cube, its relationship to the Marvel Universe, the Avengers, and of course, after the credits roll,
Yeah.
the purple guy, Thanos.
Well, I don't know Thanos. Who's Thanos?
Right.
Sorry, but these movies have been for product, for things people enjoy, and I'm not trying to be demeaning of that. There's a whole audience for these. I think they've done remarkably well, and I think the people behind them are incredibly intelligent. But as a viewer, speaking for myself, I thought the film could have been much stronger. I felt the characters could have been better written. I felt they could have had a better build-up to everything. And I just felt the film really lacked that. And I'm also disappointed, not just in this movie, but in the tendency for the CGI to dictate the ending. When I was a kid, like in Raiders, you don't feel like you're trapped on a set. But in this movie, at the end, I feel like I'm trapped on a set.
So what would you have wanted to see differently?
I would like to
you want to
see
see
them
them
run through the city, not stay in the same spot.
Well, they were in the city. They were in the
exact
middle
same
of
spot.
Manhattan.
Yeah, there.
And they were all around fighting in different. You had Captain America fighting inside, rescuing people inside the building. You had Thor and the Hulk in another
And they all
location.
came
You had
back
Iron
to
Man.
the same spot.
They're supposed to. They're a team.
Yes, but teams during warfare don't all come back to the same location. They branch out.
They
And
did. They were branched out before,
I didn't
and they
think
were
it was
getting
extensive enough.
were getting their butt kicked until they came back. They
Right.
let Captain America
Well-
be the leader of the team that he's supposed
Right,
to
yeah,
be,
he was pretty-
and give them a strategic objective and what they needed to do.
Well, I agree that those are all things that happen, but from my perspective, it felt very claustrophobic. The extensions to these different areas felt cursory, and I felt that a lot of time was spent on threats that if you got lost for a second, like you needed to look at your watch or you had an itch, it would pull you out of the movie when you came back in trying to refigure why this should be frightening. Just a skull mask on a jet ski that flies through the air that occasionally can rough somebody up. And the characters would establish and throw out their skills early on, so there was no element of surprise. Like
What
Black
skills
Widow.
were thrown out?
Black Widow
Okay.
sits down and does her, oh, I'm in absolute distress, oh no, oh no. But really, she's on top of it the entire time. That's her skill. But then when we see Loki, it's kind of like, who's this goofball? He fell for that? But, so basically from my own personal aesthetic and my own viewpoint, and that's all I'm expressing here, is that, that I felt it was a diminishing returns, where all the action, all the fights that should have been saved for the end happened in the beginning. And I know films like to be action-oriented, but I felt it took away from what could have been a slow build-up to a very cathartic release. Instead, it just was like a little series of tiny explosions leading up to a tiny pop.
And I totally disagree. I felt that the previous movies were your slow build-up, and that they needed to start just like they did with the beginning of this movie, and that's going, right into battle, and you know who these characters are. That's why you're here sitting in this theater to see this film. I felt that the ending battle was very, very climactic, big. I love the special effects. I love everything that was going on in there, and set up for the future films and what's going on with Marvel Studios and Disney in the future. So, if you were to rate it, what would you rate the film?
Well, what I consider a film that ended as ID4 and combined with the Phantom Menace, I give it a Dalek. Exterminate! Exterminate!
Well, I could not disagree with you more, and I give it a TARDIS.
I think that doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything, but
It's bigger on the inside.
it looks nice. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and have more discussion about superhero characters and comic books in film.
Hi, I'm Steve Jeppy, and I'd like to welcome you to Jeppy's Entertainment Museum. In 1974, I quit my job as a letter carrier at the U.S. Postal Service and opened a small comic book store in the basement of a TV repair shop. Little did I realize that from that humble beginning would grow this incredible pop culture collection you see here today. At the center of that collection is the comic character, the Brownies, Buster Brown, Mickey Mouse, the Lone Ranger, Superman, Barbie. These are just some of the characters who've made a tremendous impact on our individual childhoods to distract us. They've brought us relief in times of trouble, like the Great Depression and World War II. Today, they help us escape the pressure and stress of our ordinary, everyday lives. But there's more to it than that. These characters have played a large and largely unrecognized role in our education. Batman comic books helped me to learn to read when I was 5 years old. Thanks, big guy. That experience fostered a lifelong love of reading. I had dreamed of creating this museum for almost 30 years, but where to build it? When I toured Camden Station for the first time in 2003, I realized I had finally found the home these characters so richly deserved. Abraham Lincoln passed through this building 4 times. When Babe Ruth left his boyhood home of Baltimore to play for the Boston Red Sox, he took a train from this very station. Today, the first floor houses Sports Legends at Camden Yards, a museum which chronicles the history of Maryland sports. If there is a more appropriate place to display the history of pop culture in America, I can't think of it.
Yes, we're back, and we were just sitting here talking, and we both have a strong love for comic-to-screen character films. So we both wanted to just share with you one of our favorites, or each of our favorite. And we figured it would be nice to wrap everything up with a bit of pleasantry, talk about one of our favorites when it comes to characters from the comic pages going to the big screen. So you were just telling me about your favorite comic to screen.
I'm going to have to go with, right now, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
In the first or second one?
In the first movie, the very first one. I was pleasantly surprised. I've not been a big, Robert Downey Jr. fan.
No.
But I felt he really did a great job in creating a persona for this particular character, for Tony Stark. Now, even though, really, when you break him down in the comic book, he's kind of a little more like Bruce Wayne than he is the way that Downey portrays him. But I think it's a fun character, the aloof, playboy who's got more money than he knows what to do with, egotistical, I think it's a great character. It's just a great character. And the movie was fun, regardless of whether you were a comic book fan, and I discussed this with, my aunt, who's 70 years old, and she loved the movie. Just because it was a fun movie, and she didn't need to know that there was a comic book or anything. It was just a great character, brought from the pages of a comic book to life.
And he is actually an exceptional actor, and from my personal perspective, I wish that somebody of his caliber would have played Batman in the Nolan pictures to give it a little more brevity. Or I would say not even brevity, because the pathos is still there. More pathos, in a sense, because of his history he brings to it. But also because of his finesse and his skill. He's more of a nuanced actor than Bale is. But that's my opinion.
So what's your favorite film?
My favorite is Buster Crabbe as Flash Gordon in the adaptation of Alex Raymond's Flash Gordon. I love that movie serial. It is exceptional to me on so many levels to watch an early 30s film. And the special effects are chintzy, but they hold up really well, and you get wrapped up into this tale.
It was fun.
It's great. It's like watching the precursor to Star Wars. It's got the scroll starting it up. It's got the chapter. It's got the actor who's not as wooden as they'd like you to believe, and people in misfitting suits and robots that would never look like that today, like boilers just walking around with stiff arms. And it's such a joy to sit through. And there's 3 series, and I love them so much.
There's something to be said about nostalgia. It really is.
Well, it wasn't nostalgia for me.
But, I mean, looking back and looking at, older productions, of course you don't want to compare them to the stuff that's being done today. So that's what I mean when I say nostalgia. They're just fun movies, fun series to watch. And yeah, it was good.
But don't think I'm mirrored in the past, that I only need this stuff. I do think that Takashi Miike is soon going to release RoboCop, his remake of it. I'm expecting very good things from that, even though it didn't really come from comic.
I
Came
have
from the land of awesome.
I have seen some of the still production photos of that. I don't know. The question mark is there. I would like to be pleasantly surprised, but I don't know.
I'm just waiting for Lars Van Trier's superhero movie. No happy endings. I guess it'd just be the beginning story of Batman and then end. So anyways, I was very interested in talking about the Christopher Reeve at some point, the Superman, because I love that film. Up! It's the R2-D2 phone!
Got a call coming in.
Hello, R2? What? Uh-oh, looks like we got a video of Patrick Michael Strange. Take it away, R2!
You back! Hi, Zombie Wombie. Oh my! You must have gotten stuck in Balloon Land, huh? Yes?
Zombie Woman stuck in Balloon Land, and Pincushion Man tried to pop me!
Oh God!
He turned me into a balloon! I said, no!
You said
Not Zombie Wombie!
no, you can't do that. Not to Zombie Wombie, but it looks like you've grown some appendages here. Won't they come off?
Oh,
They won't come off.
could you
Something needs to be done about that. Let's see. Looks like you've been at a burlesque party or a 10-year-old clown party. You've got to do something like that. You could put on a whole act like that, Zombie Wombi. Something to think about. Okay. Now, this might hurt just a little bit, okay? But just brace yourself.
I can do it.
Okay. I know you can. Okay. I don't have my hypno lollies, so I can't. I know, it's so sad. Like, I can't hypnotize you or else it would be totally painless, but with this, you'll get a little pain. Just a little pain. Okay? All right. Let's see. I feel like Pincushion Man. I take no pleasure in this. I'm sorry. It just hurts a little, right? I might have some dementia juice or something that you could drink.
Candy?
Yeah. Yeah. You'd like that, right?
Oh yeah, Zombie Wombi like candy.
Yeah, dementia juice. Drink it. Wonder what's going to happen.
Oh, Zombie Wombi feel like Papa.
Yeah. I think you've had enough. This should make things much better now. Yeah. Feel good. Feeling good. Feeling great. All right now. Oh! Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah? Kind of take the edge off? Yeah. You don't need that. You've been to the plastic surgeon in Balloon Land, I can see. Must like that just a bit, right? Yes. Yeah. You like that, Zombie Wombi? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's get it on. Woo!
Okay.
All right now.
Yeah. Zombie Wombi.
Back it up. Back it up. Woo! Need to put brake lights on that thing. Oh yeah.
Anyways, it looks like we have to wrap it up for this exciting episode
And
of
we're-
Two Guys in a Comic Book, which is now more like Four Guys in a Comic Book.
And we're going to end on a happy ending.
Dun.
We'll keep you posted.
So it looks like we're happy to leave you with two recommendations: Iron Man, Flash Gordon. Whichever path you go, you'll probably be able to decide which one of our aesthetic appreciations you more than favor.
But
If
either
you're
way you
real
go-
and human, his. If you're a robot, mine.
But either way you go, you'll have a happy ending, which is what we're doing for the show right now,
Right.
giving you a happy ending.
Merry seasons.
So James Lewis,
Andy Hirschberger.
Two Guys in a Comic Book. Tune in next time and we will have more exciting topics discussing comic books and things that are happening comic book related.
Just in case you didn't know, all the items featured today in Two Guys in a Comic Book are available at the
would make a good Dalek.
You Would Make a Good Dalek store in England, but in the United States you can come to Jeppy's Comic World, the Jeppy's Entertainment Museum, and acquire delightful objects like this.
Right here in Baltimore, Maryland, Camden Yards.
Camden Yards, Camden Station, 2nd floor.
That crazy cat is one crazy cat.
He's a crazy cat.
He's a crazy cat. He's not Italian, right? And he's not gender specific, but he is crazy.
He's actually Polish.
Polish.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know what gender. He's a cat. He's a stray. Or she is a stray. We don't know.
Well, I've had a great time on these early segments thing, but we have one more special thing you've brought.
That's right. I wanted to continue with Crazy Cat because I love it so much. And the other thing I love so much is a circus. I am a bit of a traditionalist. When the circus comes to town, I'm always there, and nothing is more fun to me than cartoons that either feature horrific monsters or circuses.
And which one do you have for us?
I have At the Circus, Crazy Cat at the Circus, and this is by Cartoons on Film at AOL.com. Let's have a look.
Andy, thank you.